Okay, on page 6, we have question 13, 14, 15, 16, and then on the next page, 17 and 18. These are just literal equations. So it's asking you to solve for a given variable, which just means isolate that variable. So for this first one here, notice we're trying to get x by itself. So the first thing we should do is get rid of this 2b. To be or not to be. You need to subtract out that 2b from both sides. We're getting closer now to x being by itself. But finally, what we need to do from here is divide both sides by -3. So let's divide both sides by -3. Since this is an inequality, we need to, when dividing or multiplying by a negative number, we need to flip the sign. So I'll start by flipping the sign so I don't forget. So the sign's flipped. I know x is all that's left on the left-hand side, and we can just write what's given here. 8 minus 2b divided by -3. That would be our answer. Okay. Now looking at this one, it says solve for L. All we need to do is get rid of the multiplication of L by W and H. They're all being multiplied, so let's just divide both sides by W times H. Okay, so this cancels these, and we just have L is equal to A divided by W times H. If you want to write it this way, it's a little nicer. There you go. Now let's look at these other ones. Let's do it into shape. There we go. Alright, let's check out this one. Try this one out. If you're just trying to solve for P, what should you do? It's as easy as that. We get B is equal to A divided by H. If you want to write it on this side, that's fine as well. Question 16. This one's an easy one as well. We're trying to solve for R. So let's get rid of the t from both sides. We're dividing since t is being multiplied to r. We need to do the inverse operation because what that does is just eliminates it really. We have d divided by t equals r. And again, you can write it like this. It's the same thing. There you go. Cool. Finally, we need to get to these ones. These are a little bit tougher. I am going to rewrite this equation by factoring out the 2 on the being multiplied to the L and the W. So P is equal to 2 times L plus W. Notice that if you distribute this, you'll end up with your original equation. This allows me to divide both sides by 2, in which case I would get, I can write P over 2, or I can write 1/2 of P, since that's the same thing. From here, I'll want to get rid of the L, so I'll subtract L from both sides. Flip that up so I can finish. W is equal to, this cancels. I get 1/2 P minus L, and there's my answer. Okay. Now with this one, we're solving for C, so we need to get C by itself. I think first of all we should get rid of the division of this whole thing here by 2. What's the opposite of dividing by 2? We can multiply both sides by 2. So we get 2a 2 times a is equal to, this cancels, we get h times c plus d. Just grab this, put it up here so I have some room. Now, since h is being multiplied to both c and d, we can just divide this whole side by h, which means we have to do it to the other side. So we get 2a divided by h equals c plus d. What do you think the last step is here? You're just solving for c. We subtract d from both sides. Okay, now what that gives us, though, be careful, is the subtraction of d doesn't get distributed into this ratio here, 2a over h. You have to keep this separate. 2a divided by h minus d equals c. And I'll actually rewrite this like this. There we go. So those are literal equations. You're just solving for a variable. You don't need to know what the other variables' values are.